What's up, guys? You are watching Fite Feed, and today I'm breaking down the crazy style of Khamzat Chimaev. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down some of the key moments from the Khamzat Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman fight because I feel like this fight was a good showcase for Khamzat in the middleweight division. Although Kamaru's not a natural middleweight, never really fought at middleweight, I think that this was a great test for him, given that Kamaru Usman is one of the best of all time. Definitely up there, especially with his run at welterweight. So this was a great litmus test for Khamzat to see if he's ready for the upper echelon of the UFC. And before I dive into the actual breakdown here, guys, I do want to say doing this breakdown actually made me realize, like, with full certainty, no shadow of a doubt, Khamzat very clearly won this fight against Kamaru Usman. If you rewatch this fight, which obviously I have, round one was a clear Khamzat round. Round two, outside of one small flurry from Kamaru, Khamzat was the more active fighter. And then round three, I would say could be the toss-up. But clearly round one and two, in my opinion, definitely go to Khamzat. And I'm saying this as someone who I was never really on the side of like Khamzat shouldn't have got the win, but I definitely thought it was a very close fight. But if you rewatch just these three rounds, you would definitely agree if you're watching it frame by frame in the way that I did, because it shows you, a lot of these punches that Kamaru threw in some cases weren't even landing, and you'll see that in this breakdown. Now, once more, before I dive into this breakdown, here's a quick message from our sponsor.
If you aren't subscribed to Fite Feed, you!
All right, guys, so similar to if you have seen my Dricus breakdown, this is going to be very similar to that, where we just dive into, a specific fight of Khamzat's, breaking down all the things that happen, giving you guys, a little bit more insight, going frame by frame, kind of, giving any knowledge or insight that I may have on it after watching it myself. And of course, to start us off, guys, I had to call this face out, because this is like a face I see in my nightmares ever since Khamzat did that shit, looking like Pennywise. Actually, I have a perfect, so I'm going to show you guys as we go frame by frame here. Like, dude, this is like some horror shit right here. The way it zooms in. Like, come on. Now watch. Okay, so you guys see this eyebrow raise. You see that? So I'm going to show you guys who this looks exactly like to me. There you go. American History X. Derek Vineyard, baby. Watch this shit. You can't tell me that doesn't look exactly like that. That same, like, smug look, ready to go to war. All right, guys, so off the bat, one thing I'm going to call out as we start to dive into this, you're going to notice, actually, and this is something that surprised me, Khamzat is a constant stance switcher as well. It's very similar to Dricus. Not similar in their styles, of course, but just that constant switching of stances. Now, Khamzat, in my opinion, is constantly switching stances, I think, for different reasons than Dricus was. I don't think that Dricus, based on the breakdown that I did previously, I don't think Dricus was going for like doing a stance switch in order to gain lead foot positioning. I feel like the way that Dricus fights is kind of just a smorgasbord of fucking throwing everything at you. Now, one thing that is technical about Khamzat striking is he's constantly switching stances to maintain lead foot or outer lead foot positioning. What I mean by that is he wants his lead foot on the outside of Kamaru's lead foot, because that obviously from a striking standpoint sets up cleaner counters for Khamzat. It keeps him off the center line of the right hand that's going to be coming from Kamaru. So there's a lot of reasonings why a striker would be looking for this. And so you're going to notice, like, he always does that. But right off the bat, what I like to see in the start of this fight from Khamzat was this nice body kick. He's just giving him a little bit of work and also keeping him at bay from a distance standpoint. But I'll show you as we go through this. You see here he switches stances into orthodox. And look at this. The reason I want to show this is because this is like the type of style, guys, that Khamzat is going to be bringing to this fight. So he throws a body kick here. Now he switches into orthodox, or he goes southpaw for a moment, and then he switches to orthodox, which these types of stance switches are also, in a way, they help set up his takedowns, because you have this constant changing of motion, changing of location in the cage, and that can mask that movement that he ultimately ends up doing here when he shoots this takedown. Now watch how he shoots these takedowns. This is actually something to behold. Khamzat is probably one of the most athletic guys I've seen in terms of his ability to shoot takedowns from decent distance. Like, this is not, I mean, this looks like they're pretty close, but in order to actually grab up that leg while Kamaru's going back, this is the thing that is very impressive from Khamzat. So watch this. So he shoots in, and you have Kamaru instantly ready to sprawl, because obviously Kamaru is a great wrestler in and of himself. But the way that Khamzat, I want you guys to watch this. Watch this left hand here. How he is able to he doesn't even get this leg of Kamaru's that's there for the taking. And this is actually what I really like too. Sorry guys, I'm like noticing multiple things here as we go through this. Khamzat, I would think from a wrestling standpoint, and I'm not a wrestler, so if any of you are grapplers, wrestlers, please let me know what your thoughts on this are. But my assumption is, from a wrestling standpoint, the low-hanging fruit or the lead leg that is available is probably a better option if you're shooting a takedown in terms of safety, because you can get your hands around the lead leg much easier. What's interesting here, though, is Khamzat takes this hand, he shoots in, and instantly Kamaru's thinking, I'm getting this out of here so he can't grab it. But Khamzat doesn't even go for it. He changes motion in while he's doing this to grab the other leg. So you'll see. And I think he's obviously shooting a double leg, but he's able to, switch on the fly to a single. So he's coming in. He doesn't get this hand. Sorry, guys. He doesn't get this hand quite around that leg, as you can see, but he's able to cinch this one in there. You can see his fingers there. And then watch just the stickiness that he has here. And this is where I'm very impressed by Khamzat, guys, because even if you're a high-level grappler, we've seen high-level grapplers like in the UFC where they shoot a takedown like that, and if they don't get that leg perfectly, which Khamzat really didn't initially get it perfectly, but he's able to, this is the strength of Khamzat. He's able to basically hold Kamaru here. And Kamaru's a strong guy, as we all know. And he's able to literally just manhandle him and hold him there while Kamaru's trying to break free. It's this grip that he's able to grab on that leg that is very impressive to me. It shows that strength that he has in the grappling realm, but then also being positionally aware to lift and get that leg higher above the hip, because that's where he's not going to have as much balance. And then watch that nice little trip here so that he can kick that other leg out. And this is where it gets really impressive for me, is he kicks that leg out, but watch how quickly he is able to ride the hips. Like, he instantly is on the hips of Kamaru. He goes from, having one arm around that hip to snatching that other one up extremely fast. And right there, I think you can see his arm. He gets this arm around the waist of Kamaru here, and it's right there. That's his hand. His arm's going like this, guys. And then this arm is obviously what he wraps around so he can lock those hands. And now that he's got the hands locked, he's got his waist, and he's able to ride the hips, and he gets him down perfectly. But this is all right here, guys. This is all just brute grappling strength that he has. The ability to completely hold Kamaru in this position and not allow him any space to move or get out of there. He's using every part of his body, but he just knows. He's very positionally aware, especially when it comes to the grappling. So this is actually super impressive. And also, I love this too. Like, as Kamaru's trying to build up a frame so he can get out of here, Khamzat is just using those crafty techniques to, wrap the leg up, push the leg out, get that balance for Kamaru back down to the ground so that he can really start to work here on the ground. But just his ability, guys, to, Kamaru is no slouch in the grappling department. We all know Kamaru didn't even have a recorded takedown against him until the Leon fight, although I do think Colby did take him down one time. Doesn't matter. No one did this to Kamaru in his entire career. Khamzat, within 1 minute, less than 1 minute, is basically just manhandling Kamaru in the grappling department. I mean, no one has done that to him. And you could argue, short notice or whatever, but regardless, I mean, just the ability to get Kamaru to the ground was difficult in and of itself. But I'm very impressed, guys, just with his ability, and I'm going to keep kind of rolling through here, his ability to keep Kamaru here and grapple with him in the way that he did, especially knowing that Kamaru is a very well-touted grappler himself. Now, once he got him down on the ground, this is the thing that I love about Khamzat, and I think a lot of people love about Khamzat. He is a brutal finisher. This is not a dude that wants to go to decision. Once he gets guys down to the ground, it's not about laying and praying. Like, he is trying to hurt him. He's trying to find submissions. He is trying to do whatever he can to finish the fight. And that is, you guys, if you watch this channel, you may have been able to pick up on, I'm not like a huge fan of grappling. Like, I'm not a big fan of the wet blanket style grappling where a grappler is just laying, right? And I will say, like, one thing that has always irked me about Islam, and it's been hard to get past, is the shit that he did against Volk in their first fight in round number 4, when he literally laid on the ground on Volk's back and really didn't try to do anything but stay on the ground there. Like, Volk landed more strikes than Islam did that round, I'm pretty sure, from the back. Like, from punching backwards, he landed more strikes. So that I'm not a fan of that style of, like, just holding control. I am a big fan of guys that look to finish fights, whether it be on the feet or on the ground. Like, even if you get a guy, that's why you have to respect, like, Khabib, one of the best, the way he would get guys to the ground and just maul them on the ground. Like, that is totally Khamzat's style, and that is a very, very fun style to watch. In Islam, I love Islam now. Islam is like a well-decorated champ. He's a great fighter. I just think that it was bullshit what he did to Volk. But in the past, he's been a finisher where, you know, he'll punch guys out from the top. But this is all, like, what I'm showing here, guys, is really just showing how dominant that grappling is, because this is something that Khamzat is going to be able to put on Dricus if he's given that opportunity. So just calling that out for us. But that is really, guys, that is the from here until the end of round 1, Khamzat just remains in control there. So dominant round 1 for Khamzat there. All right, so starting off in round 2, guys. So this is another thing I want to show you. So right here, the start of the round, you see Khamzat's in ortho. He's got that, he's looking for lead foot positioning, but if you see this, Kamaru's lead foot is on the outside. So what I'm going to show you, this is where I think Khamzat should get more credit on the feet. He is very well aware of when his opponent has that lead foot position. And watch what he does here. He just very quickly switches stances so that his lead foot can now take this control, right, ever so slightly. But he's very aware of this, guys. Like, I noticed this multiple times throughout the fight where as he's kind of leaning in and stepping in, he's always aware. Even if he's in a different stance, he will switch stances to ensure that he has that lead foot control over Kamaru. And here we have a nice head kick that that Khamzat throws. Now, this is, it doesn't really land, but I like to see this because the way that he mixes in almost like a takedown type feint where he's kind of bending and changing levels here. You see him drop a little bit, and he also puts the arm out as though he's shooting a takedown, which gets Kamaru kind of thinking about the hands here. And honestly, Khamzat did land this. He landed this on the inside nicely. And then on this clip that I saw, this is something I really liked to see from Khamzat as well. What a lot of people might have forgotten, I actually forgot myself. In this fight after round 1, Kamaru actually did a really good job in this fight, feinting his own offensive grappling attacks at Khamzat. So in this, you're going to see Kamaru, this is not the first one that he does, but it's maybe like the second or third. I didn't include all of them, but the reason I wanted to show this is because after Khamzat had seen it a couple times, you know, what he ends up doing here is timing this perfectly. So as Kamaru is going to shoot this, you know, fake takedown, Khamzat throws a nice heavy calf kick. Boom. And it really actually shocked Kamaru because it like sent him backwards afterwards. So Khamzat just being able to read this position here, just being able to read that, you know, Kamaru's coming down, he wraps around that kick and just nails him right above the cobblestone knee there, or right below the knee. So I really like that. That's a good move, and that's hard to pick up on, like, in a fight. To see that, to see a feint like that from Kamaru, but find an attack to go with it is very, very high level, very skilled. And guys, another thing that I feel like Khamzat is not getting enough credit for is his ability to see strikes and see things coming his way and using his head movement to limit damage that he should be receiving on the feet. So as you're going to see here, he throws his own attack kind of the same time that Kamaru's advancing to throw his own. So he throws the jab and he lands the jab on Kamaru here, but he knows Kamaru's arm is already coming around, and you can see it because watch, he sees this, he sees that, and I'll show you why, because he kind of turns his head like that, but he's able to slip his head down like that so that he doesn't get connected on by that punch. And that to me is just, it's nice. He's able to throw the jab and then be defensively aware. He's not throwing the jab and standing there. Like a lot of guys in the UFC specifically will throw a jab out and like do nothing else but kind of sit there in that same position. And a lot of times we see guys get knocked out or caught on the feet because it's like they throw their attack, but they're doing nothing in response to what might be coming their way. And I think that is very good to see from Khamzat, his ability to kind of read that Kamaru is also attacking and, to move and get out of the way so he's not getting caught by that punch. And then here's another solid attack from Khamzat, guys. So in that southpaw stance, he's always able, and this is something that someone like Kamaru and Khamzat can kind of do in their fights, especially when they're up against an opponent who doesn't have the grappling chops, is they're able to do these little feints, right? So like these little level change type feints where they're bending and just to keep them aware of that grappling threat. And I like that he's mixing in body punches to use that really, like, because this same type of like feint, if you will, could be used for an actual, like when he's going for a takedown, it might look similar to that given that he's dropping levels, but instead he's landing that body shot. So that is just that's making him a trickier customer on the feet, as Lucas Tracy would say, because it's making someone, even though Kamaru's going to know that grappling threat's there, it's making him think like, okay, when Khamzat dips down, is he shooting the takedown or is he throwing a body punch? And that's where you're winning in the game of chess, if you will, because you're putting too many things out there that your opponent might not be able to pick up on from a pattern perspective. And one thing I wanted to show you guys here too, it's hard to see kind of, but I was able to kind of zoom in on my end, but it's Khamzat's like awareness and ability to see those strikes once again. So you're going to see that Kamaru throws this punch. Khamzat not only kind of dips out of the way from it, but what I really like to see, he doesn't fully close his eyes. So that's actually a big deal because a lot of guys will, and if you guys watch Guru, he's always bitching when guys are like eyes closed in the pocket. Khamzat, even though he's like kind of squinting here, he's still watching and trying to see what's in front of him, right? So he can make sure that he is getting out of the way of any additional attacks. That is not easy to do. I don't know about you guys, but unless you've ever been hit in the face, it like, I'll just say this, having an older brother who liked to beat my ass, I even to this day, if my brother's like fucking with me, I still flinch like hard because, growing up, he actually would like smack my ass. So like I had to be prepared for it, but it's very hard to not like jump and flinch. And I feel like close your eyes when something's kind of coming at you like that. And I think that the ability from Khamzat, like in a fight, to be able to have that attack come right at his face, but he gets out of the way and still keeps his eyes peeled. That's solid. Once again, what I like here from Khamzat is the lead hand, pawing here. It's almost using it as like in a way, he's kind of using it like a parry, not really, because Kamaru's not attacking with this hand, but he's just gauging that distance and boom, nice, solid liver punch there, right on the liver. Great body shot. I like to see that. That is a type of attack that I think could do Khamzat well against Dricus, because I feel like in Dricus fights, the way that Dricus fights, as you guys may see in my breakdown that I've done, he doesn't open a lot of opportunities for opponents to land on the body, I don't think, but I don't think a lot of opponents have really tried to land on his body either. So here's another shot from Khamzat where he lands this head kick. Now he lands it on the guard, but it's just I like that he mixes up these attacks, guys, because for someone who's just a dominant grappler, he does have very sound stand-up. And that's another thing. When Khamzat is throwing, and you'll see this later in the fight, I like this too, that knee stomp, because he needs to, these are all tools that he can definitely utilize in his matchup against Dricus. Now, what I wanted to show here is obviously Kamaru did have success. Like, this is a very nice 1-2 that he lands, but it shows that, Khamzat can kind of handle a big shot from a guy like Kamaru who does have power, and Kamaru really threw his whole body into that. He even cut the angle here to the right after the jab, turned it over, and Khamzat, it really didn't affect him. It just made him step back for a second, but it didn't actually really impact him that much. Now, this is something I wanted to show because this is that feint takedown, right? Where Khamzat is kind of thinking and now he's, ready to defend. That is the type of thing that when we hear Dricus say that he's going to beat him at his own game, that is the type of thing that might actually do very well. We just don't really know because we haven't seen that type of attack from another fighter on Khamzat. But really, that is like in this fight, multiple times, Kamaru actually was able to get Khamzat to bite that feint and really shoot to try to defend. So I think maybe mixing that in there, and I do think that mixing that in does bring success for Kamaru, because if you guys rewatch this fight, really round 2 was very lackluster, not a lot happening on the feet. These guys were kind of like just trying to see where that opening is. And it was very difficult for each one of them to find that opening. But that is one thing I would call out, is just that is an attack Dricus might be able to incorporate. Now here, guys, this is another takedown from Khamzat I want to call out. So this is just showing you that athleticism, like his ability to just be, several feet away from Kamaru and still land like a very solid takedown, and very quickly too. It's just the way he's able to almost dive, like literally he just dives forward, but he's able to break that posture and also get his hands locked faster than anyone I've ever seen. And then just that strength, and he's able to get this takedown and get that control position here. Although Kamaru is kind of just holding on for dear life, Khamzat gets him down, and that is, in my opinion, that's Khamzat's takedown, and he's going to get control time there, because it's not Kamaru really controlling that. If Kamaru wanted to control, he would try to get on top of him. And this one is solid too, guys, because this is another takedown attempt. Now, Kamaru's wise to this one, but what I like to see with this is Khamzat's ability to mask this like it's a strike, right? Like he does that same bend down that he does when he throws those body punches. So he's keeping it very slick in terms of what attack is coming. I like that he had the foot over the lead foot of Kamaru too, but I mean, I think that is just that just happened to happen because he's shooting in for the takedown. Kamaru was able to get out of this one, but I do just want to showcase that, like, how good Khamzat is at just instantly dropping levels like that very quickly. And this is round 3 as well. And here is Khamzat's head movement, guys. You're gonna see this punch from Kamaru. Look at that. Doesn't land because Khamzat's able to pull his head back. This is good work from Khamzat. The way he's able to pull back like that. And the thing is, what's interesting is if you guys watch this just real time, let's see if we can, you would think that connected. But if you really watch it, it does not connect on him. Because what I'm looking for is if this connected here, you would see Khamzat's head move more than it did. But you're going to see his head just moves to the side because he's pulling it away and circles out. And here is this is where it's hard to compare the striking style of Kamaru to Dricus because no one fights like Dricus. So this is an attack, though, that I think Khamzat is going to have to incorporate against Dricus, timing it well, but throwing this nice overhand. Watch this, guys. This is textbook. Steps in, and he actually does it well because Kamaru's throwing the jab, so he ducks down, and boom, right over the top of the jab. That's a textbook overhand right there. And watch Kamaru's you could probably see the sweat fly. It's almost like when Leon did it. Great shot. But, Kamaru, this is another thing. So right after Khamzat throws this, watch this move that he does. He brings this hand right up so that he is being defensively sound as Kamaru tries to return. And then he rolls with it. He does this and rolls. That's really good right there. That's going to be a textbook defense skill that he's going to want to have in the Dricus fight, when Dricus is trying to trade with him. And once again, it's this ability to like drop down and shoot these takedowns. It is honestly like, even though I'm not a grappler and not like super into grappling, I know a little bit of jiu-jitsu. I've done some jits in the past, but not like, I've done a couple of trial periods. But even here, like, and what I was saying about the grappling is just, I think that it's really cool to watch someone like Khamzat do work like that, because it's almost like he's not human the way he's able to do that shit. And here's a good shot from Kamaru that lands, but watch this nice counter lead hook from the southpaw stance from Khamzat. Boom. Clips him. Very good striking there. Throws it again. These two were fucking trading at the end here. But even here, like, these punches are not really landing any significance. That landed on the elbow from Khamzat, and that landed on the elbow. Khamzat is able to, like, look at this. He's able to, like, block those punches, really, just by throwing up his guard. Now, this one lands. That's that jab of Kamaru. Kamaru's got a really good jab, guys. Lands the jab again, but Khamzat's able to slip out from the right hand. And this is solid from Kamaru, guys, because this is where Kamaru throws the 1-2. But watch how Kamaru, he brings this leg forward so that he can do another jab from that southpaw stance that lands, that's crafty. I like to see that, the way he mixed that attack in. But I'm really, guys, I'm just impressed by the fact that Khamzat, although people like want to try and say he lost, like, he actually evaded a lot of the big strikes that Kamaru was trying to land on him. And I think it's not even just like the defense or blocking it. It's more so like the way he also is always rolling with these punches. He does a very good job at trying to throw in that guard, the high guard, with the roll, which it seems to serve him pretty well, because like we really haven't seen Khamzat rocked that bad in any of these fights. Now that one was a good shot from Kamaru, but what I've noticed is that like Khamzat, when his opponents kind of start to land, that's when you'll start to see him throw back and land his own shots. But even here, Kamaru lands there slightly, but the big punch, the right hand down the pipe, watch Khamzat, watch his head, it's going to go to the left, and he's going to slip this completely. Look at that. And that's frustrating for a striker. So I think that if Khamzat is able to deploy that same type of game against Dricus, it's going to be very helpful, because we know Dricus can throw forever, and he throws a lot of attacks that are not very warranted. This is some solid takedown defense from Khamzat. Nothing really to write home about. I think we would expect that. But really, those are the things I wanted to break down, guys. I wanted to show just a few things that I really like about Khamzat's game, and I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for some of the things that he does very well on the feet. And obviously, in this fight against Dricus, there's a lot of different variables at play. It's hard to say how Khamzat will deal with these constant changing of stances, the constant attacks from different angles that Dricus throws. But you also have to bet that, I know Dricus likes to do, his stance switch while he's doing his forward skirmish. It'll be interesting to see if Dricus uses that, though, in a fight against Khamzat, when I feel that type of stance switching and moving forward will give Khamzat a great entry for takedowns. So I think that we might see a different approach from Dricus there, especially in the early rounds. Overall, I wanted to break this down because I feel like as a way to get myself even more amped up for this matchup, and breaking down the footage of Khamzat and Dricus at this point has made me even more excited for this matchup that's happening this Saturday. I hope you guys are excited. I know I am. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you comment below your thoughts. Comment if you have any recommendations for my next breakdowns, because I'm going to be adding a lot more breakdowns to my channel. Definitely would love to hear from you guys on that. Make sure you give this video a like if you enjoyed. And if you aren't already, make sure you subscribe to Fite Feed so you can stay on top of breakdowns like this one and all the other content that I post. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.